And we think that by pushing them out of our mind, they're out of our psyche. But that's not
or
the way it
denying
works.
them.
Exactly.
Denying that, most people on the spiritual path will say, oh, I've conquered that. I've dealt with that.
Right. I've conquered it because I don't see it.
Yes.
Or we don't see it because we've pushed it down underground.
Okay, and tell the audience what happens when people deny what you call the shadow part of yourself.
Well, what happens is that it thrives. Those qualities stay alive and well. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, what they'll do is they will burst up into our consciousness
when you least expect
when we
it.
least expect it, when we least want it, and sabotage us.
Yes.
Right? So that's the value of wanting to actually have an intelligent approach with our shadow. It's part of us.
Yeah. Rather than allowing it to sabotage us, or what I would call blindside us, because we think that we've dealt with it. We think that we're all light.
Yes.
And I think that there's a sort of naivete or foolishness in that concept when you consider that we live on planet Earth, and this is, the land of duality.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as you're in embodiment here on the planet and you're all light. Mm-hmm. If you were all light, I don't think you could continue to be on the planet.
Right. And, it's a natural law that you can't have light without a shadow.
Exactly.
Right. And we see it in nature. Just walk outside.
Exactly.
There's a shadow everywhere there's light.
Yes.
So it's not something evil or bad.
Exactly.
It's just the storehouse where we have jammed all the parts of us that we're embarrassed of, we don't care for, we don't want to show to the world, let alone to ourselves. Right?
And a lot of that, don't you think, has to do with a lot of our social programming? Napoleon Hill, in his book Outwitting the Devil, talks about how our educational system and most of our religious institutions literally serve his purpose. And he says that they help him keep 98% of the population under his control by instilling fear in them and shame, over those aspects of ourselves that really are a part of who we are. And I think that we were meant to transcend them.
Right. So if we feel fearful and shameful about parts of ourselves, that's the last thing we're going to want to look at.
Exactly.
Right? And so there they stay.
And most churches, I'm sure, I don't know if you grew up in, no, you went to a Catholic school, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of shame associated with being, I grew up Catholic.
Right, so we both know.
Yeah.
It's
like, don't say this, don't think that, don't, it was literally like, don't be human.
Yes.
Don't have your feelings and connect with them because it makes you a bad person.
Right. So all of that gets pushed down into our shadow. Right, all of those qualities, many of which are really part of our strength and our power.
How so? Explain that, because when you and I were talking last night, you gave an example of the shadow as a child and how it manifested itself as you were, really like growing spiritually.
Yeah.
It came up.
Okay, so that's a good point. So there's two sides to the shadow, as I understand it. There's all of our negative traits that we push away, and then there's what they call the golden shadow, right? Which they can be really some
positive,
of our really positive attributes
and powerful qualities,
right? That for one reason or another we've shut down and pushed away, right?
So let's give an example.
So an example. So I've been doing my own work,
right?
Really sort of.
I would hope so if you're writing this book.
So digging in, really inquiring into what I'm harboring, what I have under the surface, right? And I really got to see that, for example, I have in my shadow my golden shadow, my brilliance was put down there. And what I mean by that, I don't mean brilliance in the sense of, being a brainiac, really.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that if you are.
Yeah,
I love the Apple Store because they have these geniuses,
right,
and they own it.
Right.
What's wrong with that?
But what I mean by brilliance is simply, you look at a child and they're radiant.
Yes.
I'm talking about
light.
Energetically.
Yeah.
Right. So a child will have a brilliant energy about them, right? And some children have more than others in a sense. And I was full of life, and
that's one thing they don't want in school is a kid that's full of life.
Right.
They want you to sit down in that chair and be quiet.
That's right.
Be seen and not heard.
So what happened for me was I became kind of the scapegoat, right? I was so energetic that it was like, push down that energy, punish
Shut that light,
turn it down, turn it off. And actually, I had a very stern father who was like, he had a bunch of kids. He was trying to maintain order.
Yeah.
And it was like, keep down, down.
Yeah.
Just all this sense of taking that.
Being confined.
Yeah, taking that energetic, sort of radiant, energetic force and constraining it, pushing it down. And so that's what I did, right? Just as a survival mechanism.
Sure.
And so what I have noticed so what happened in my life is that as I have worked on myself and grown spiritually, I discovered that my brilliance, my energetic radiance was being hampered by something. I couldn't quite figure out what that was.
Yeah.
And the more I dug into it, I started thinking, okay, just inquiring deeper and deeper.
Because if you ask, it'll be the answers will be given.
And I uncovered these memories of all of this shutdown.
The suppression.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so by acknowledging that, it's almost like I opened a door and allowed that young boy
to come out
and
shine.
And it's like I put my adult mature arms around him and said, hey, everything's, come on out. Now
and certainly
time,
I think with this book you're allowing your brilliance to shine, because I think the book is quite brilliant. I think it's a book whose time has come for all of the people who are on a spiritual path, who are finding, as you said last night, people will use the metaphor of a mountain. They'll get halfway up and then they'll reach a certain level of success and then they'll slide back down.
Right.
And Napoleon Hill talks about that, all of the little tricks that the devil uses to ensnare you, which are all of the things that you love, all of the things that you want, all of your weaknesses.
Right. So, what I created in my story was I noticed something. It was part of the reason I wanted to write the book was on my spiritual path and on many others. I have lots of friends on different modalities. But there's a connecting weakness that seems to be on every path.
Which is,
using your analogy of the mountain, the mountain of enlightenment, right?
Yeah.
And all these paths are going up the mountain,
right.
All trying to get to the same peak, but they're taking different routes. But there seems to be a connecting weakness where these gurus and teachers and masters of various sorts reach a certain level. They then become magnetic, let's say. They attract followers.
Yeah.
And then something happens.
Oh, yeah, and then you see them, they fall from grace.
The wheels come off, and they take a bad fall.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I looked into that, and what I have seen is that all of us, we're moving towards the light, and we're not looking at what we're sitting on, all of the stuff we push down in a way. So that's why I wrote the book. Lucifer's Game is about that. My Lucifer doesn't have religious connotations.
Yeah.
He basically he's the champion of our unconscious.
Yes.
And if we want to push our stuff down there, he's thrilled about that. He keeps them alive and well, and then sends them up to wreak havoc and sabotage us at will. Right?
Well, which is why I think your book is important, and the reason why I've connected yours as sort of a sequel to Napoleon Hill's book, which, interestingly enough, talk about shadows being suppressed. That book was suppressed.
Yeah.
He wrote it in 1938, and his wife didn't want it released because he really spoke out against how the public educational system does not encourage children to think for themselves, to be creative, to learn practical things in school that they can apply in everyday life.
Right.
And your book, what I think is important about your book is it shows how the whole mindset of Lucifer evolves with time. He's into the internet and how he can get up on his game, especially with the spiritual people. He called essentially the top 2%, that are almost ready to escape his
web.
Yeah, his web. So we're going to talk more about that after commercial break, but coming up in the next segment is Chem Michaels with his message from the Ascended Masters.
Great.
And then after that, we will return to Will Schneider. You can find him at lucifersgame.com.
Yes, that's the website.
All right. Well, you're listening to Divine Love Talk on CRN. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, and I am excited to be bringing this topic to you today about how you can outwit the devil.
You're experiencing pain, back pain, shoulder, elbow, or hand pain, pain from a sports injury. If so, schedule a visit with Dr. Michael Sheps, the leading expert in laser therapy for pain management. Call 310-873-4422 or go to drsheps.com. Experience Epic T, the breakthrough laser therapy system that Dr. Sheps developed to make you pain-free in less time. Laser therapy is a non-invasive, safe, and effective in-office procedure that penetrates deep into your skin without damaging the tissue. It perfectly targets areas of pain to promote fast, natural healing. Relax your muscles, ease muscle spasms, joint stiffness, and arthritis pain while increasing blood circulation. For over 25 years, Dr. Sheps has helped Olympic athletes and sports enthusiasts alike get back in the game. Schedule your visit with Dr. Sheps at his Brentwood office in California. Call 310-873-4422 or visit drsheps.com. That's DRSHEPS.com, 310-873-4422.
Are you nearing eligibility for Medicare benefits? Then you know now is an important time in your life. Medicare benefits can be a complicated puzzle. You don't want to overpay for your Medicare coverage or get the wrong plan. Let Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. With one free phone call, a licensed insurance agent will help you select a Medicare plan that's right for you and your budget. If you're becoming eligible for Medicare, call today and learn how to get the most out of your benefits.
800-793-1960, 800-793-1960.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is the DBA or assumed name of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is an authorized insurance agency in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service and product availability varies by state.
Call 800-793-1960, 800-793-1960, 800-793-1960, 800-793-1960.
CRN travelers, relax at the beautiful Fountain Grove Inn and Conference Center in Santa Rosa, California. Come to quality and come to luxury. Experience the newly renovated guest rooms. They're generously sized and they're decorated in the Tuscan tradition. They have great, incredible pillow-top mattresses, luxurious linens, and down-filled comforters. The Fountain Grove Inn also offers complimentary Wi-Fi and internet access. There's warm cookies and coffee every evening in the hotel lobby, and you can visit the newly remodeled Equus Restaurant and Equus Lounge with its new wine bar. It's the ideal place to relax and enjoy a glass of wine and watch our What's Cooking on Wine show on CRN with host Larry Van Alst on Wednesdays. It's the Fountain Grove Inn, Hotel, and Conference Center located in the heart of Sonoma wine country. It's easily located in Santa Rosa off the 101 Fountain Grove Parkway exit. Call 707-578-6101. That's 707-578-6101 or visit fountaingroveinns.com.
Okay, we're back with Chem Michaels and his message from the Ascended Masters. Welcome, Chem Michaels.
Thank you. I am the Ascended Master Mother Mary, and I would like to speak today on the topic of the millions of refugees that are pouring across the borders of many countries in the Middle East, in Europe, and also in the United States. My beloved, why are there so many refugees coming into these countries that have a high level of development? Well, I would like to explain the spiritual reason for this, although there are, of course, also physical reasons that you can point to. The spiritual reason is that although you have been brought up to think that the earth is a sphere where you as human beings can act on your own and act independently of God, this is, of course, only a facade. This is only for your learning, for the learning of those people who need the experience that they can act without God. In the deeper reality, none of you can really do anything on your own. You may look at countries like the United States and Europe, and you may think that you have built the current wealth because of your own creativity, your hard work. And I am in no way discounting creativity and hard work. But what you need to understand as the spiritual people is that no matter how much hard work you put forth, no matter how creative you are, the results you have achieved in the modern world have been achieved because we of the Ascended Masters have multiplied your efforts. If you had not put forth an effort, there would have been nothing to multiply, as you see in some of the less developed countries. But you need to understand that it is not the effort itself that can account for the wealth you have attained. It is the multiplication by the Ascended Masters. Then you need to understand that we do not multiply things automatically. It is not so that it is a mechanical universe in which you live. You cannot just put forth the work and we will automatically multiply. We multiply as an investment. Our goal is to raise the living standard for all people on earth, not just the few 100 million that live in so-called developed countries. So why have we invested in what has now become the modern countries with a high level of affluence? It is because we look to you to become the instrument for helping us raise the living standard in all countries. Do you understand that when you isolate and insulate yourselves with your high standards of living, then we cannot forever continue to multiply so that you get richer and richer beyond what is needed. We cannot either allow, as you see in the United States especially, a small elite to become richer and richer while a growing percentage of the population become poorer and poorer. And so, what should have happened ideally was that the rich countries would have made it a priority to use some of their wealth to raise the standard of living in the poorer countries. You may point to all kinds of programs, but I tell you it has not been enough. It has not been the all-out effort that we look for. And so because you have not been willing to raise the standard of living where people live, these people know from within that they should be living a more affluent life by now, and so they naturally seek to the countries where they can have that higher standard of living. And you will not stop this stream until you make a much bigger, much more determined effort to help the countries grow much quicker to the standard of living that you have attained. You may say it took us a long time to do so, yes, but we do not want it to take that long for all nations. That is why we have sponsored you. And so therefore, I can assure you that when you reprioritize, then you will see that you will have much more wealth in your own countries because we will be able to increase our level of sponsorship. and so that you will have much more wealth to spend on helping other nations. To those who have, much more shall be given when they use it wisely to help others.
Wow, that was powerful. Thank you so much, Kim and Mother Mary, for reminding America that we have a responsibility to pull other people up as we rise up. W.E. Du Bois was very big on that. The talented 10% had a responsibility. You're listening to Divine Love Talk. That was Chem Michaels. We'll be back with Will Snyder and Lucifer's Game.
Got a lot on your to-do list? Now, during Kubota's Power to Do Great Things sales event, get a great deal on an L3301 or 3901 tractor with a live continuous running rear PTO. Now get financing as low as 0% APR for up to 5 years, and great customer instant rebates when you buy a new L3301 or 3901 and 2 implements. Now through December 31st, 2015. Call toll-free 1-888-465-8268 for details about cost and terms. For more information or to find a participating dealer, visit Kubota.com.
Aloha! Experience your home away from home being beachfront at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Begin your getaway relaxing on over 11 acres of tropical Hawaiian gardens at Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel. Voted Best Aloha Spirit by Hawaii Magazine readers. Just walking around the grounds with all the tropical vegetation, relaxing poolside, or kicking back in the sun on the world-renowned Kaanapali Beach makes you feel like you're home in paradise. There's a package to fit all your needs. Wedding, honeymoon, activities, private parties, great food, or just good old beach fun. The hotel perpetuates the Hawaiian tradition at its best. Call 661-0011 or visit kvhmaui.com. Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or received legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now.
800-515-6309. 800-515-6309. 800-515-6309. 800-515-6309. That number again is 800-515-6309. Are you nearing eligibility for Medicare benefits? Then you know now is an important time in your life. Medicare benefits can be a complicated puzzle. You don't want to overpay for your Medicare coverage or get the wrong plan. Let Health Markets Insurance Agency help you. With one free phone call, a licensed insurance agent will help you select a Medicare plan that's right for you and your budget. If you're becoming eligible for Medicare, call today and learn how to get the most out of your benefits.
800-793-1960. 800-793-1960.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is the DBA or assumed name of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., which is an authorized insurance agency in all 50 states and the District of Columbia. Not all agents are licensed to sell all products. Service and product availability varies by state.
Call 800-793-1960. 800-793-1960. 800-793-1960. 800-793-1960.
Here on CRN, we'd like to keep you updated on what's happening in wine throughout the state of California. Napa, Sonoma, the Pacific Coast has great regions like the Central Coast area, Paso Robles, Santa Barbara, Temecula. Join our very own Larry Van Alst as he takes a look at what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report. It comes your way Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. right here on CRN. Winemakers, superstars, wine growers, and more. With Larry Van Alst, what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report.
Okay, we're back with Divine Love Talk, and Will Snyder, author of Lucifer's Game. Everyone's playing it, whether they know it or not. That was Chem Michaels with his message from Mother Mary. That was very, very powerful. And Will, you commented during break that I'd like you to pick that up.
Yeah, well, what I was hearing is that this is an aspect of the global shadow.
How about that? Yeah. Coming up to be healed.
Right. So we have the individual shadow, but then there's the global shadow, which is, planetary.
Yeah.
And there it is. There's the all these people that we're not looking at this holistically or globally. It's like every country for themselves.
Exactly.
There's a sense of selfishness as opposed to generosity. I mean, there's a lot of generosity going down, but I mean on a
not
big
enough
scale by the leaders, by the, not on a global scale. And if what he's saying is true, then by doing that, by thinking that we're protecting ourselves, we're actually cutting ourselves off from further development and flowering.
I mean, I took that as a warning that we're going to be in trouble as a nation if we continue to be selfish and fight about not letting these people in, because I know there are big controversies all over the world about allowing refugees in, and it's like, how do you not help people that are being, displaced and murdered?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, we are, in effect, our brother's keeper. And as I was saying, W.E. Du Bois talked about how we have, the talented 10th, have a responsibility to raise up, the other 90%. And I think that, you don't touch on it, directly in your book, but I would think that that's something that probably Lucifer wouldn't want us to do, right?
Well, Lucifer's Game is really about the individual
journey.
Yes, and one man's quest for wholeness and light, and then Lucifer's attempt to, hamstring him and reel him back in, right? So there's the dynamic between the two. But there's a story to be told about the global shadow.
I agree. Maybe that's going to be your next book.
It could be, because that's
somebody
a huge
needs
story.
to talk about that,
look at the world right now, and
it's all coming up to be looked at.
Oh yeah, the military-industrial complex,
oh my God.
the mega corporations that are. This is such a fragile, delicate planet. You think we would be such great stewards of this beautiful, globe that we live on, and it's just being attacked and, basically destroyed.
Right, by global corporations, as you pointed out. But certainly it is being exposed. The shadow side is being exposed, and more people are waking up to the damage that these major corporations are doing, fracking.
Right. See, that's where I think this is so important, to not just be looking at the light, but we've got to take a good hard look
at the shadow.
At the shadow, and it's not something that just because it's not full of the wonderful, qualities of the light-filled side, is every bit as important or more so in order to balance things out.
Well, wouldn't you think that Lucifer himself wouldn't want us to look at?
Clearly.
It wouldn't, I know for sure Napoleon Hill in his book, Outwitting the Devil, it's like whatever you don't look at, the devil loves it.
Right.
Because it does grow. It just gets bigger. So I think that that's a real reason why people who say that they're on a spiritual path should really want to look at that and, move beyond this, because it's just a whole new program, I think, of, the New Age people or the spiritual or metaphysical people, saying, oh, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to look at it because, I'm feeding it and I'm giving it power. I want to go look at the flowers. Well, I mean, that's a good thing, but look at the flowers and learn from the flowers about how they don't hide anything.
Yeah. See, the way I see it too, Parthenia, is that what's the end? What's the end game? Where is one trying to reach? Right. And in my view, if you're on a spiritual path, you want to reach for wholeness, a balanced wholeness, right? So in order to be whole, we have to acknowledge both sides of ourselves.
Exactly.
Right? That's the beauty of it, and that's the power of looking on both sides of the fence.
Yeah, and to me, it's like, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen, by you owning that, yeah, I am a control freak. Yeah, I do have issues with anger. Yes, I do get jealous of people. Yes, I can be, I can have this compulsive, addictive, personality. If you're not willing to own that, yeah, that is a part of me. That's not everything that I am,
right.
But that's a part of me that, I don't like it. I don't like that part of myself. So why not do something about it? Why lie about it?
Well, that's it. If we deny it and only see it outside of ourselves.
Or in other people.
In other people.
Everybody's good at pointing out other people's stuff.
That's what happens. It's very hard to see our own shadow, right? But how the key and the trick is to notice what is it out in life that triggers.
Yeah,
it,
talk
right?
about your issue that you were talking about last night with one of your triggers that you discovered from childhood.
Yeah. Okay. So let me be just very vulnerable here and share something about my own deep work, right? And something I'm not proud of, right? But I'm willing to do that because this is for real.
It's a part of the healing.
Yeah, it's all part of it, and I encourage everyone to
be willing to own
right?
it. Yeah.
So I noticed that one thing that really triggers me are bullies.
Interesting.
I hate bullies.
Yeah.
And there's a part of my persona that is kind of call it the white knight complex. I see a bully.
Yeah.
I'm a defender of the weak,
exactly.
typically,
okay.
right? And so triggered by bullies. That's interesting, right? So I started looking at that. It's like, okay, that's a clear trigger.
Uh-huh.
And I just dug deeply into myself, and what did I find? Deep in my memory that I had completely closed off and shut away and buried was myself as a kid in a large family, and how I was bullying my little sister and my little brother.
Wow.
And I abused my power as the older to bully them.
Wow. And isn't that interesting that we could totally forget that?
Well, yeah, and so how did I forget that, right?
Yeah, how?
And then what I noticed is I forgot it because as I grew out of that, I was ashamed of it.
Of course.
And even just talking about it right now, I can feel I'm like a wash.
Yeah, I can hear
shame,
right? I can hear it in your voice.
But I'm sitting with it.
But I think this is a part of the healing is to be able to own it.
You have to.
Because that's not who you are today.
Yeah.
Yes, you did it, and I'm sure a part of the healing with your siblings, have you been able to talk to them about that and heal that?
Right. So that's all. Yes, it's in my past, but it was buried in my past, so it triggers me out in the world, right?
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay,
So do you find that you're triggered less and less by bullies now that you've looked at your own or you're in the process
it's
of
not
looking at it?
that I'm going to ignore people
But
being
you don't
bullied.
find yourself getting really angry or upset
it's a
about
whole different thing. And the other positive side of it is all the energy it was taking me to keep that buried is now, it's like, okay, I've let that part out.
Yeah.
It's like it brought it to the light. And so all that energy that was keeping the lid screwed on that particular shadow quality is now freed up.
Yeah.
Right? So that's one stream of energy that I now have available for something far more positive.
Well, and it's pretty interesting how those things from our youth and our childhood, even I found that when you look at them and you own them and you apologize and you make amends, you never look back on them and feel really, really good about them.
Right.
But they don't have as much power over you.
Right.
Because I remember when I was younger how it hit me in the face one time that I was putting material things in front of people, And I did that with my mother one time. And, oh, my God, in that moment, like after it happened, where I was upset about something of mine that she had lost and inadvertently thrown away, and I had one of these little fits.
Yeah.
And she was just, poor thing, I mean, she did go and find it, but then after I got it, I went, oh, my God, how could I have done that?
Right.
Over a material thing.
Yeah.
And I apologized profusely, and even when I got older, I went back to that and I said, Mom, oh my God, I felt so bad about that day because I'd never done that. But now when it comes up, it doesn't trigger me anymore. I don't feel so ashamed and so bad about myself.
Well, what I have found about going into the places we have always avoided is so important. This is a heart experience. It's not a heady thing, right? So it's really, it's the heart is involved.
Yeah.
And it's crucial to be in a place of loving kindness
towards yourself, right?
Right, and compassion.
Yeah.
And forgiveness.
Yes, forgiving yourself.
Because there's all this shame about so many of these things that we pushed away, right? If we have compassion for that and the loving kindness we can surround it with, and a generosity of heart and forgive whatever it was, then it's like, okay,
Yeah, because, I say this all the time. Dr. David Viscott says we're only as sick as our secrets.
Yeah.
And so the shadow part is a part of all those secrets that we bury about ourselves and that we feel ashamed about.
Right.
And so as long as we can honorably honor them, that, yes, I did that and I learned, because I did that, now I'm a better person. See, now you defend people who are being bullied, versus continuing to be a bully.
Right.
And I think, don't you think that's a part of the learning curve?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, when we're kids, we do all kinds of mean stuff.
Yeah.
But because of that, we're ashamed of some of that stuff, and down it goes,
when
right?
we grow up.
Yeah. So we have this sort of basement full of things we've shoved down there, and it just, it's a strategy we use that's pretty lame.
Yeah.
Right. It kind of works, but not really.
No, it doesn't at all, because it comes back and it bites you.
Right.
Yeah,
it's so much more intelligent to bring
just
our
look at
consciousness
and
look at it. Forgive it.
But and also change the behavior, because my understanding on a spiritual level is that once you change the behavior, that was creating karma or bad feelings, instant grace steps in. The law of grace steps in, and there's no more, you don't have to worry about the karma, because you're now moving in a whole nother realm where you're not doing the same thing. But haven't you seen people who apologize and they say, oh, I feel so bad about it, and then 2 weeks later or a day later, they're doing the same thing over and over again?
Yes,
well, that's still creating karma.
Right. No, that's exactly right.
So we want to, I think that's what helped me, is that understanding that, oh, I don't do that anymore, so there's no reason for me to continue to beat myself up about it. It's all forgiven when I learn the lesson and move on. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, and it's a transcending.
Yes, it's transcending.
As opposed to
integrating. Rejecting.
Yeah.
Because we were talking last week about, and I had said to Chem Michaels that, we need to integrate it, and I think that was the wrong word. It's more we need to transmute it or transcend it.
Yeah.
So that it's there, but it's no longer a part of me that's controlling me or that has any power over me.
And it's important to keep the end game in mind. Like, why would we even want to do, if somebody's on their own spiritual quest, why would you want to go into the dark side of one's psyche, right? Well, the end game is wholeness.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So we can't get to that.
And you have to, like on almost every spiritual path, they talk about the fact that you've got to retrieve those lost parts of yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, that you've thrown away, or that, you know, people have shamed us. As you talked about in school, you were shamed.
Yes.
And then we get ashamed of ourselves. And then people will take, you know, good qualities away from us. So there are these parts of ourselves that we abandon on our own because we're ashamed of, and then other people will take them away from us. You know, and we've got to retrieve all of them.
Yeah. The point is, this is not a dress rehearsal.
No.
Right? This is our life.
It is.
And their time is precious.
Yes.
And if we're really interested in, you know, we're a species that can really evolve and grow.
Unlimited
but we gotta
potential.
Be real.
Yeah.
Right? Not just sort of
this fake spirituality where it's all love, love, love.
Right.
Well, yeah, we are love.
That's a part of
That's
it.
the real who we are. But there is this shadow part of us that's anything but love.
And a huge amount of energy. Just that alone, it makes it worth the effort. How much psychic energy it takes to keep the lid on all that stuff,
and to pretend that you're evolved beyond where you are, because it shows up.
Right. No, and you know, so my forgiveness, great. You know, I see myself in these positive lights. I'm a forgiving person. You know, but what about how I hold a grudge?
Yes.
I'm a man of integrity, but what about my selfishness?
Thank you.
Right?
All those little things that we think we've overcome, we've got to be willing to look at all of those. Now, we're getting ready to go into commercial break. This went so fast. That's why I invited you to do a two-part segment on this, because we're going to be able to really dig deep into the shadow work and look at some of the things, like how we can have a definite purpose and how that can serve us. You're listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm interviewing Will Snyder, author of Lucifer's Game. You can find him at lucifersgame.com, and we'll be back after commercial break with more of Lucifer's Game and how you can outwit the devil at his own game.
Come to Angelos and Vinci's Restaurante in Fullerton, California for our sizzling party savings. Book your wedding event or reception, your birthday bash, or a special event of any kind and celebrate at Angelos and Vinci's. Come to Angelos and Vinci's and celebrate in one of our many festive banquet rooms. It's an incredible fun event you'll never forget. Food, music, and lots of fun. Call for the details, and don't forget our daily lunch and dinners, plus our Sunday champagne brunch. Just $14.95. Minestrone soup, sausage and peppers, pastas, chicken dishes, salads, scones, and muffins. Plus so much more, a chocolate fondue fountain, zeppelis, cannolis, fresh fruit, champagne, and Junior will be waiting to make the omelet of your choice from our omelet bar. Angelos and Vinci's has been voted on the Orange County Hot List as one of the top 5 Italian restaurants for the past 6 years. And don't forget our award-winning pizzas. Thin or thick, they're yummy. It's all at Angelos and Vinci's Restaurante at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Call 714-879-4022, 714-879-4022.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-471-5173, 800-471-5173.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
All right, we're back, wrapping this up on Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, and I'm talking to Will Snyder, author of Lucifer's Game. Everybody's playing it, whether you know it or not. So we want to leave you with a couple of helpful things to deal with your shadow. And so I want to start out by saying, if we can just be honest with ourselves and say, yes, I'm afraid of this, or yes, I have an issue with anger or jealousy, or I am the worst procrastinator, or I have a tendency not to bounce back, as fast as I should from a setback. And yes, I have a horrible diet, and that does affect, my consciousness. I'm not very disciplined. I'm not as disciplined as I'd like to be, and I don't always think for myself. And I certainly don't focus on my purpose in life. I don't have this definite purpose. If we're willing to look at one or more of those things, like one at a time, and kind of see this whole process as a journey that we will be on for the rest of our lives, and instead of this destination of, ooh, I'm enlightened, and I'm all love, and I'm all light. And what is that? That's game over.
Yeah.
When you have that kind of mindset.
That's right. You say honesty. To me, if you're very disciplined and serious about evolving, it's a slow process. It's organic.
Yes.
Right? It's an organic process.
And you can't hurry it.
No, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back at best.
Yes,
you don't go dancing down the path, in my experience.
But I think dancing helps, and being joyful helps.
Well, of course. But the point being that it's organic.
Yes,
you can't go to the garden and pull on the plants to make them grow faster.
Exactly.
Right? Things take time.
Yeah.
And I would say that one thing I would really highly recommend, if you're willing to look at, okay, I'm seeing how I'm projecting these qualities
onto other people.
Yeah, and you really start to get it, right?
And look at your triggers.
To be very careful about your own inner critic, because the inner critic, we all have one.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if you don't know you have an inner critic, that's how good it is at hiding, right?
It will shame you.
Well, it will. It'll make you sorry
that you're
doing this work, right?
Or make you depressed,
too.
Yeah,
and to see that you have the power to tell the inner critic to take a hike.
Exactly.
Right? And that's not helpful.
Yeah.
Because it'll jump in and then go, oh, look at what we found, and then rub your nose in it.
Oh, of course. Aren't you a terrible
really
person?
Really important.
Yeah.
Kindness, compassion.
And it'll make you think that you have gone so far over the edge that you can't turn back. That's another really good trick.
Oh, sure. And see, that's how like Lucifer, my character, the Lucifer character in my book, that would be one of his manipulations. Right?
Yeah.
Make you feel,
it's too late.
It's too late, it's too much, it's
You're
too
too
this,
old,
it's too that.
Yeah.
All to keep us unconscious.
Of course.
Yeah,
and in fear that there's nothing you can do and that you're powerless. So I want to remind everybody that it is your life. You are powerful beyond measure, as Marianne Williamson said. And, she talks about how, it's your light, that scares us.
Right.
And I think it's because the light will increase the shadow. And that's why it's very scary, because we're like, oh, if I shine too much, my shadow is going to be, revealed.
No, that's it.
Okay, so I want to thank everybody for joining us. Please join us next week. Will Snyder will be back. We will continue this discussion on how you can outwit the devil at one of its many games. And literally, if you don't learn the rules of the game and how your opponent plays, how on earth can you actually learn to play chess without learning the game? So what this segment is about is, encouraging you to learn the rules of the game, of your opponent. So you've been listening to Divine Love Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Parthenia Grant, and Will Snyder, author of Lucifer's Game at lucifersgame.com.
Thank you, Parthenia.
Thank you, Will, for joining us. And thank you all for listening. Download the app, CRN.
Because that was your theme. Are you tired of hearing your favorite talk radio show sound like this? What if you could hear your favorite shows in crystal clear, high-definition digital sound? Well, with CRN Digital Talk Radio's 6 channels of high-definition radio, you can now hear all of your favorite hosts like you've never heard them before in CRN HD. The difference is amazing. Catch your favorite political hosts like Dennis Prager, Tom Hartman, Barry Farber, and so many more. Entertainment and lifestyle programming like The Robert Conrad Show, The What's Cooking Show, and The What's Cooking on Wine Show, all in true CRN HD